Hey everyone, my name is Andrei. Today we're going to have a conversation about education gamification. So I'll speak about what gamification is, what is game design, what we do at Ransome. Ransome is programming and robotics school in Sydney. So we teach kids programming, robotics, and understanding technology, STEM subjects. I'm a STEM educator at Ransome and a founder of Ransome as well. So I also have one of our co-founders and STEM educator, Daria, here. So you may, ask, me or Daria, any questions, after presentation. But first of all, let me tell you a little bit about Ransome. So we've started not, long time ago, but we have, really good results already. And what we're trying to do, we're trying to change, the educational system. We try to teach our kids, technologies and skills which they cannot, learn at schools today, either, at primary schools, at high schools, and even at unis. So, and how it all started, we had a number of professionals who, and it was clear for us that those skills we need today. Every one of us, has, learning these skills. We don't learn them at school, we don't learn them at high school, and sometimes when we graduate, we join a company, we come and just say, okay, forget about everything you learned, you'll start learning something else. So we decided to start something and start filling in that gap. Now, okay, so I'd like to start with the quote of Jack Ma, founder of Alibaba Group, and he said, in one of his interviews, that the knowledge-based approach of 200 years ago would fail our kids, who would never be able to compete with machines. So what's happening actually today? It's already happening. It's not, any like a futuristic, film, not a movie. We already have very strong, machines, artificial intelligence, quite strong algorithms. We have robots. And unfortunately, many jobs, they disappear, they vanish. So if you look at the chart, you'll see that we're already in the midst of this, range from 2015, to 2020. And if you have a look at these jobs like office administration, manufacturing, production, construction, legal, just imagine 20 years ago, even 15 years ago, our parents, they would like to have these jobs, right? So they would be happy to have these jobs. And today they vanish. So no one needs them because robots, artificial intelligence, all technologies, they substitute humans because they perform better. They're much better. But we can change this and we need, let's say, some other skills because we can perform much better in other areas. And this is why we actually started thinking and started doing what we're doing right now. And we think it's very important. It's also important to understand that we have to consume more and more information, not only consume, but digest it quickly and use this information. So we need, instead of information, we need experience. But how do we, get that experience quickly? It's not only about reading books, but being experienced immediately, okay? How could it happen? So everyone likes numbers, especially with dollar sign. So this slide is effectively, about the dollar sign. The education industry is growing, and it's growing really, really quickly. And I couldn't find, let's say it's 2015, but it only reflects that it's growing really quickly. Already in 2015, we had this number, 4.5 billion from private investments, which is amazing for education, because usually the main investor in education was government. And government invested our money of taxpayers into education system. Now it's changing because there are many players from the private sector who invest in education. Why? Because they don't want to wait. Governments can't solve this problem. They can't change, education system quickly. It's all about bureaucracy and everything else. You can read about it yourself. We'll need another maybe 15 years to change something, really change it. Yeah. So while people sit and vote, it's not a real change, right? So we need to change. That's why many private companies, and that's why we have Coursera, we have edX, we have many of these, platforms, because they try to change what we can't change, other way. And the most important is that if you look at these amounts, so this is how much was invested into preschools and secondary schools. This is exactly where we work. So we work with children in primary and secondary schools. And this is a huge and biggest amount of this pie. Because here we have the biggest problems. So here's the 5 major trends. You can see only 4, but I'll show you the 5th one, just in a minute. So first one is cloud. So everything in cloud, online platforms, online education. All your books, they are available in online. So we all move in cloud. Why? Because we want education on demand. We want education anytime, right? The next one is VR, AR. And VR, AR is growing. So why it's important? Why this is one of the trends? Because VR, AR provides us with experience. So not just reading a book, not just consuming information, but really experiencing. And I'll show you something. So just imagine, we already use it in our school. You have this box, yeah. Someone, sees the, Google Car box. It's not that expensive to buy this one. This is $2, $2.50, at least, for our school. In shop, it could be a bit, more expensive, but it's, $2, $2.50 in China. And just imagine, you put your mobile phone into it, you put your headset on, and then you can be teleported or transported into the observatory, staying in a classroom or at home. And you can learn, really quickly about stars. You can travel to Mars, and you can experience. And experience is really important. So you can really experience with this. That's why VR, AR is in education is growing really quickly. The next one is analytics and big data. So we can today capture lots of information about how we learn, what we learn, and we can improve the way we teach because we know how this process actually works. So we learn more about ourselves, we learn more about humans, right? About our kids, about students in uni, about professionals, how we consume information, how we learn, and how to do that effectively. And more of it, we can analyze it quite quickly. The next one is artificial intelligence. So here is quite an interesting. I think that it will start substituting school teachers very soon. Why? Because actually, if you look at teachers today, what they do, they teach lots of soft skills, but most of things they do is providing. So they're providers of information. Someone asks questions, they provide information. Someone there's some curriculum, but artificial intelligence, robots and artificial intelligence assistants, they already can do it much better. So they can provide you with information much quicker. I'm not saying that this is correct and this is what we should do. I think it's not really, good, direction. But if you do not change the educational system today, it will not start. Then they will take over. Take over, all teachers because they do not, actually as efficient doing what they're doing today as, assistants. Okay, and the 5th one is gamification. This is why we're here today. So gamification is one of the hugest trends in education industry. And at Transtem, we build games and we also use gamification to gamify the process of learning. That's why so here I want to give you the definition of game. So I like this definition of a game. There could be many definitions. A game is a closed formal system that subjectively represents a subset of reality. This is very important to understand. So, and why it's good for education. So I like this definition because it explains why it's good for education. What also a game has, it has such characteristics as conflict. And there were many studies, and they say that games that do not, like video games, games, any other games as well, but mostly, video games, if they do not have conflict, any type of conflict or a problem, we need to solve, they're not successful. So they don't, generate money. Not many players play in them. There are some games, but they're not as successful as those that have conflict. And it's all about the nature of humans. Then those games usually have interaction. So different actors, different roles in a game. This is very important. And this is very important for education as well. And safety. If we see them playing a game, we know that, like, if you play tennis, yeah, you kill each other, right? But we know we're safe, and this is cool because we enjoy it. Yeah, we work in a team. We can, attack, a city, but still we are safe, and this is important. Everyone is safe, right? So this is, three really, really important, characteristics of a game. And why is it good for education? Because this is what we need to learn. We need to learn how to solve problems, how to resolve conflicts, right? We need to learn about interaction with different people, with different problems, and do it all together as a team, not as a single, person. And we want to be safe. We want to, actually practice all of this in a safe environment. So if you look at even, let's say, some animals, like a lion cubs, anyone who likes Animal Planet, they play a lot. They play a lot, and it seems sometimes like a serious, serious things, but they actually play a lot when they, little cubs. They play even with adults, but they are safe. They have conflict. They have interaction, and humans, have the same. And we, kids, they play a lot as well. Lots of times they spend in games playing. That's where they, learn all of this. And here I'd like to separate two things. So it's the process of gamification of learning process and game design-based learning. These are two separate things, but they're both connected with gamification and using games and game principles in the process of learning and education. So gamification. If you ask children what is work, they will say school and homework. And if you ask them what is play, many of them will say video games or games. So, and that's why there were studies how you can apply gamification to learning and educational process. And the most common characteristics of any game, they are easily applied to a learning process. And these characteristics so they have to be, the process has to be narrative, so there should be a story or a plot. During one of our camps, we had a Mars mission scene. So we had all kids, like in a room, and we asked them to imagine they're traveling to Mars. So we showed them some movies. Then they explored the surface of Mars in an environment we prepared for them, and then they started building games using this knowledge. So this was, characteristic number one. So we gave them this plot, we gave them a story, and they forgot about everything else. They started actually learning, And as a part of a process, when it's gamified, users receive immediate feedback, as in a game. Something happens, situation changes, you receive a feedback. You understand you did something wrong. Yeah, something happened. It has to be fun. It has to be fun. Like any game, it has to be fun. If it's no fun, it's not a game. Full of challenges. The game or a learning process has to have full of challenges. And the complexity of them increases as you learn. Same for games. The more you play, the more complex it becomes. If it's not complex, it's boring. Mastery. So leveling up. These guys here, they know a lot about leveling up. So when you master, your level increases. And how you know about it? From progress indicators. This could be different badges, points, leaderboards. I think you have leaderboards, different ratings. So it works really good in education as well. You can track and understand your own progress, and you can compare it with the rest. So this works perfectly in education and learning. And social connections. So if you can connect, to different people, it becomes boring as well. So we want to interact, we want to have a forum, we want to have a chat, we want to have like different parties involved. We want to learn how to communicate, build a team, do something together. Same applies to games, and it works really well in education. And play control, what it means, and it's one of the most important things actually. What's not happening today. Player controls what happens, where he or she goes, or does, and depending on that, everything changes. So right now in school and in unis everywhere, teachers control it, not students. You can't make a choice whether I go this way, I go that way, I want to learn this or that. And when you gamify the process, it changes, and a teacher becomes a mentor, a guide. He wanted, stalker, whoever, superhero, right? But not a teacher, not a person who controls the process. You control the process as a player, and depending on you, yeah, the whole thing changes. Sorry, so why do we teach game design? I'd like to start explaining that with the following quote. Tell me and I'll forget. Show me and I may remember. Involve me and I'll understand. So we teach kids programming games because, and let's say half of our classes, because we have robotics, but we have game design, and game design is half of those classes, half of our curriculum. Because they're engaged when they're building games. They love doing that. They create things. And when they create, they're involved. And that is how they start understanding things. We have kids who have no idea about some math or physics, but then we start explaining them, look guys, because this object, like if it doesn't fly like in real life, right, then no one will believe you. No one will trust your game. That's why here is some, aerodynamics behind it. And they like look at us, like, hey guys, what is aerodynamics? It's a crazy word, very scary word. But kids say, we say, okay, aerodynamics, and we explain them what aero means, dynamics means, and then we'll explain them how this physics works. And they say, oh wow, now I know how I'm going to build this game. And we give them some math. Even some math they don't and can't, learn at school. And where teachers, in schools, fail, we succeed. Why? Because we build games. And we come and say, look guys, here's some math. And I say, what math? I don't like it. And I say, don't worry, it's very simple. But you need to build this game. And they, okay, because I need to build this game, I will learn it. Tell me. And we, draw them, some on the whiteboard, some formulas. We start explaining them, giving some examples how they use it in a game. And just imagine, in a minute, maybe even less, they forget about math, the word math. But what they remember result. This is what I see because I myself running a class each Saturday morning. And I see it every time. They forget about math. They forget about physics. They see the result, and we give them, everything they need to achieve it, right? So, and they learn it really quickly. They consume absolutely, crazy amount of information we give them during the class. They do it easily. They digest it immediately. And they use it immediately in their games. Just imagine. And this is all about this involve me and understand. Yeah. So this is something you guys, really good at. I mean, we're gaming. So these are all skills, like top skills for game developer and designer. Don't read it. You don't need to read this list. What you need to understand, they're just from different areas. And now have a look at this chart. So this is 21st century top skills. This is what we want to learn our kids. We want to also learn ourselves to be able to respond to the challenges we have today. Yeah, to be able to compete with machines and artificial intelligence. So, and if you, it's amazing. Look, it's amazing. When I found out it some time ago, I was just, maybe we should all become game developers and designers. It's the coolest ever thing, people do. Yeah. So if you start actually sorting and connecting all these items from here to here, to this purple, orange, and blue blocks, you'll find out that all these game developer designer top skills match exactly all these skills. Can you imagine that? I couldn't imagine myself. I was like, how could it be? Yeah, but this is what we found out. That's why we like like building games. What do we teach? What do we teach? So we teach computational thinking, programming, debugging, testing. Kids are really good, debugging and testing. They like it. Many of us don't like it. We hate it. We create a special, department called quality assurance because many of developers hate testing. Yeah. So, but we have people who like it. But all kids like it. This is what we found out as well. Presenting ideas. We teach them presenting ideas. We teach them sketching their ideas. We teach kids collaboration and teamwork. It's extremely important. 3D and 2D modeling. Working with perspectives, just imagine. We have kids who are in year 1, year 2, they understand what, about perspective, about, different, objects already. So, and built-in animations, brainstorming. They brainstorm in a class. We teach them sharing ideas. It's extremely important. Many people don't share. Listening and analyzing feedback. Mathematics, physics, biology, ecology, and many other school subjects actually. This is what we teach. And this is really, really, hard work. And we also teach them some, everyone in game dev are familiar with, but, developers also, could use similar cycle. So this is game development cycle. And it's very agile. So you have idea, you plan prototype, then you play test, observe, document, then you evaluate your ideas, you show it to someone else, and then this generates new ideas, and then you, plan, build a game. So this is, what we teach them. However, kids don't follow it. They just don't like it. And they follow absolutely different approach, which I try to draw here. So I use my finger and I draw it. They follow something like this. If they want, they go somewhere else, they draw a sun, forget about their games, and return back. And I think it's very, very effective, very efficient. I hope, you don't have your director or CEO here or any top, project managers, senior managers here. But guys, we need to have lots of freedom for ourselves. Yeah, because I know he's
Yeah, he's the PM.
He's PM.
He likes the bold lines.
Exactly.
Yes.
I scared him. Yes. So look, we need to remind ourselves we were kids, and chaos and freedom is really good. Why I wanted to show you this? There were two reasons. Reason number one for this picture is because we need to remind ourselves there is a child. And we were all children, and we need to allow ourselves freedom, and we need to allow ourselves chaos, because what we see when children are in that state, they produce absolutely amazing results, much better than when they follow it. I do not say you should have chaos all the time, but you need, because it's not what we have, but we allow kids to have this chaos. And when we started, we tried to push them and tried to say, look, guys, you need to follow, we worked a very similar way as teachers. But then we said, we're not teachers, we're educators. We are guides, we are helpers, we are whatever, mentors, whatever you like to call it, not teachers. Yeah. And actually my family, my grandfather, my mother, they're teachers, so I'm really proud, I have teachers in my family, but we need to adjust, we need to adopt. Yeah? Don't get me wrong. So, we started actually giving kids, freedom of choice, and freedom to do, not always, but sometimes, what they want. And this is the reason number one, for this slide. And the reason number two is to say thank you to you guys, that you invited us, because I draw this tank here.
Nice try.
Thank you. I use my finger only, so I think it's a good yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, however, kids love sketching, and they're amazing, when to sketch. So this is, let's say, first of all, give yourself some freedom. Yeah, probably one insight, for you guys. Don't forget you were kids. Don't forget. Don't make it too serious. You have to be serious, but not all the time. Another one is drawing and sketching. This is what we did really good when we were kids. So our kids, they sketch a lot. They think about their games, they sketch a lot. They could sketch one lesson, another one, 3 lessons. Some of them, they do that. And they're absolutely amazing. You can take a frame, put it into a frame, and, put it on the wall. And they're absolutely amazing, artworks. However, most of them, they don't use the sketches. But the sketches help them to systemize and generate new ideas. And let them do it. Because this is creative work. This is what we also need. So I would suggest everyone, and you guys as well, spend time on sketching. Just sit, and sketch. Even if it takes, an hour or 2 or 3, sketch. This will help you and your brain to learn about, yourself, about what you're doing. Put it on paper. Yeah. Don't forget, we have paper, we have pencils, whatever you prefer, sketch it. Go to your friend, to your neighbor, to anyone, at the next desk, show it to him or her, and evaluate. This works, amazing. This works for kids. This will work for us as well. But you need to let us, do that. Okay, a little bit of chaos and sketching. It's like a meditation. I'm almost finished. So here are some top game scenarios our kids like. We have different, games. So one of the scenarios, shooting game, maze game. This is second. Top. Third is action game, where they need to actually run, shoot at something, complete some missions, find some objects, and racing game. So top 4. Again, this is our statistics. And some crazy design ideas. So I start with the first one. Here it's a multiplayer game, and you have to reach, the center and center of, let's say, this funnel or whatever, and you have to check, over here's the start. I like, like the idea. And then this one I like because of design. It's like chess, play, but the kid, used this, to build the whole land, the whole world, which is really cool. He picked up, some idea and used it somewhere else, and it looks like really cool, really cool. It's not a chess, play. Something else, is happening there, but it's really cool in terms of design. I like it. I just was watching it, but it's really cool. This is this one. I like it. I think it's one of really good ideas. I have never seen such a game anywhere. So, guys, I'm sharing it with you. If anyone here is good, development skills, proper development skills, use this game and start selling it. And if you start making, millions on it, please call me and share a couple of thousands with me, okay? Because this is really amazing game. So I played this game. One of our kids, built a couple of times, and I just can't stop doing that. And other kids, when they find it on a laptop, they play it as well. So what actually you need to do? You have a character here in the center. You need to reach the edge. You have all these guys here. You can't touch them. So if you touch, you fail. And there are a couple of levels. And every time the complexity increases, so they move faster, and you can't predict the direction. So it's really cool one. And I'm playing every time, and because actually they, I forgot to tell you, they program it for touch, for Xbox, and for, keyboard. So I prefer Xbox, and it's crazy. Like, when I use the joystick and I try to reach it straight, you have to, be very sensitive actually. It's a really cool one. So don't forget about that message. If you like this scenario, if you build this game, start earning millions, please call me, okay? There's no copyright, but just, you already recorded it, yeah. Okay, then I say. So that's almost all for today. Some lessons learned. You can take a picture of it, but I'll try to explain you, and there will be something else at the end. So actually, The idea about game design and gamification is that we try to make the process less stressful, and it really works. Game design lets kids learn much more. They can learn comparing, to schools because they don't have stress. It's different psychology. So they don't have this block in their brains when someone says it's maths and like, it's physics, no, science, no. Yeah, there are some kids who like, but many they're scared. It's just psychology. And all our kids, they like maths, they like physics. Why? Because they actually don't know they're learning really complex, things. Like, Fibonacci numbers, Taylor, and whatever. Like, can you imagine all these things? They don't like we explain them, but we use some, easy way to explain it. But they use it, in game, and and also it's all about motivation. So building games and gamification process, both they increase motivation to learn, to discover new things. So this is very, very important. And we think that the best achievement, so you can game them when you blend a game with multiple knowledge areas. So when you blend a game with physics, maths, with, for example, biology, then you get absolutely amazing results. So you achieve a lot. And also, I'd like to show you how actually and finish, the final thing. So most of the people who work at Transcom, they're professionals. They work, during the day, full time, and they work on weekends or, after school hours. Oh, sorry, after working hours. And we want to share our knowledge and how it all works. Like we come, back home or on Saturday, when we look like this, but then we take, and put on this T-shirts, and we become superstars, superheroes, mentors, and it even looks like an Iron Man, thing. And look, and we see this, light in eyes of kids, and we love what we're doing because, we see how our kids, they progress and how they learn, and that's why, and we think that we're changing a little bit the whole system, and hope, we'll be able to, grow kids and equip them with 21st century skills. So thank you. That was all I wanted to tell you today.